All right, let's talk about David Goggins, the man who basically turns pain into a superpower. Today, we are diving deep into a recent interview where he explains why he literally walked away from millions of dollars just to embrace more suffering. Trust me, you're going to want to hear this. Let's get into it.
So let me just start by asking you a question. Why is it that the very comfort we're all chasing actually makes us weaker? Now, this isn't some philosophical thought experiment. For David Goggins, this is the central problem he has dedicated his entire life to solving. So all of this comes from a super raw, totally unfiltered conversation between Goggins and Chris Williamson. Goggins has been kind of quiet lately, and in this interview, he finally pulls back the curtain on why he's been choosing brutal, hard work over the easy life in the spotlight.
I mean, just look at this choice, seriously. Option A, Goggins could be making millions of dollars giving corporate speeches. Easy money, right? Instead, he chose option B to become a smoke jumper for about $15 an hour, parachuting into forest fires. Why on earth would he make that trade? Because for him, real growth, the good stuff, isn't found in a paycheck. It's found out there, freezing in the woods, staring your own limits right in the face.
And that leads us right into his first core insight. And honestly, it's a pretty controversial one. The idea that success itself is actually dangerous.
Goggins' advice here is pretty radical. He says you have to cap your success. Basically, shut down the noise, log off social media, and get back to what he calls the mental lab. Think of it like a workshop, a place of struggle and humility where real knowledge is actually forged. It's all about starving your ego to feed your growth. Okay, so capping success keeps you hungry. But how do you survive those moments of just pure agony when every part of your body and mind is screaming at you to just quit? Well, that brings us to his next technique, winning the 1-second decision. I want you to really picture this. It's only hour 2 of a 130-hour hell week. You're lying in the freezing cold Pacific Ocean, arms linked with your teammates, and a wave just crashes over your head. The initial hype, totally gone. Now it's just cold, it's just you and your thoughts. Right there, in that moment, your brain just screams, "Get out." That is the 1-second decision. So here's how Goggins teaches you to win it. Step 1, you acknowledge the panic. You hear it. Step 2, you don't move a muscle. You stay in the water. Step 3, mentally you teleport. You picture yourself on the beach, you're warm, you're holding a coffee. And step 4, from that calm place, you think logically. Is this temporary pain really worse than a lifetime of regret? You know, it all boils down to this one simple question. Can I take one more step? And the answer is almost always yes. According to Goggins, choosing not to take that step when you know you can, that, my friends, is the only true definition of quitting. And this brings us to his philosophy on motivation, which, by the way, is the polar opposite of pretty much all the self-help advice you've ever heard. You see, Goggins calls shouting affirmations in the mirror a total delusion. Yeah, it's a temporary high, but it proves absolutely nothing. Real, unbreakable confidence isn't built on words. It's built on what he calls an undeniable stack of proof. It comes from the actual, tangible evidence you collect by doing things that suck. And this is what his stack of proof looks like. It's insane. When self-doubt starts to creep in, he doesn't need to say anything to himself. He can just look at this resume of pure suffering and achievement. See, that's not borrowed motivation, that is earned belief. But here's the thing. None of this works if your mind is a complete mess. And this leads to his final core insight, which is this really powerful analogy for mental discipline. Goggins uses this brilliant analogy. Think of your mind as a garage. Now, if your garage is all cluttered up with the junk of daily life, stress, insecurities, excuses, you can't find your tools when you need them. You might have discipline in there somewhere, but it's totally useless if it's buried under a pile of crap. Just look at the difference here. On the left, you've got this chaotic mind where you can't find anything, and on the right, an organized mind where every single tool, discipline, consistency, belief, is right where you need it, ready to go at a moment's notice. Goggins spends hours every night meditating, basically organizing his garage so that he wakes up ready for battle. So, how in the world can we apply these incredibly intense lessons to our own lives? Let's break this down into some real, actionable takeaways. Okay, here is your playbook. First, armor your mind. Goggins runs 12 miles every morning precisely because he hates running. So start your day by doing something you don't want to do. Second, build your proof. Stop talking about it and just start doing. Pick something hard and see it through to the end. Third, win your 1 second. The next time you feel like quitting, just ask yourself, can I take one more step? And finally, organize your garage. Set aside time every single day to declutter your mind, whether that's meditation, journaling, or just sitting in silence. Ultimately, this is what it's all about. People asked him if he's trying to find peace, and his answer is just so profound. He says he already found it years ago. Not in comfort, not in relaxation, but right there, in the battle with himself. Because that's where true self-knowledge and that lasting peace are really found. So the question this leaves all of us with is a really personal one. What battle will you choose to face today? If you found this podcast summary valuable, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with someone who needs this today. For more powerful podcast summaries, book insights, and mindset-changing content, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. See you in the next video.